Have you ever felt like the world around you is constantly testing your peace? Like no matter how hard you try to stay calm, something always appears to disturb your mind, your energy, or your spirit. There are moments when life seems to move in a way that constantly challenges your ability to remain balanced. Just when you begin to feel calm, another situation appears. Another misunderstanding, another negative environment, another emotional weight that seems to shake the quiet place you are trying to protect within yourself. For many people, these moments come and go like passing storms. But for those who walk a deeper spiritual path, especially those often referred to as the chosen ones, this experience can feel far more intense. Instead of occasional challenges, it can feel like a continuous struggle to maintain inner peace in a world that constantly pulls in the opposite direction. For many chosen ones, inner peace does not come easily. In fact, it often feels like a constant battle. A battle between faith and doubt, between calm and chaos, between the person you are becoming and the expectations that the world continues to place upon you. On one side, there is a quiet voice within you that longs for clarity, purpose, and spiritual alignment. On the other side, there are distractions, pressures, and emotional conflicts that try to pull you away from that inner balance. This struggle can sometimes feel confusing. You may ask yourself why maintaining peace feels so difficult, why situations that seem small to others can feel overwhelming to you, why certain environments drain your energy while others appear unaffected by them. For many chosen ones, this sensitivity to the world is not a weakness. Instead, it is often a sign of deeper awareness. Chosen ones often feel life more intensely because they are paying attention to things others may overlook. They notice shifts in energy, subtle tensions in conversations, and emotional undercurrents that others may ignore. While this awareness can bring wisdom, it can also make the search for inner peace more challenging. But what if these struggles are not random? What if the challenges you face are not simply obstacles, but part of a larger process designed to shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and more spiritually aware? Sometimes the very battles that disturb your peace are the experiences that teach you how to protect it. Each challenge can become an opportunity to develop resilience, to strengthen your faith, and to understand yourself on a deeper level. The conflicts you face may not be there to break you, but to prepare you. When you begin to look at your experiences through this perspective, the story changes. The moments that once felt like constant attacks on your peace begin to reveal themselves as lessons. They begin to show you where your boundaries need to be stronger, where your faith needs to be deeper, and where your attention needs to be redirected. In this video, we will explore the hidden struggle many chosen ones face in their fight for inner peace, and the 7 powerful truths behind why this battle exists in the first place. Understanding these truths may help you see your journey from a new perspective and recognize that the challenges you face may be guiding you toward a stronger and more stable sense of peace. If this message resonates with you, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who may need this encouragement, and subscribe to the channel for more content about the journey of the chosen ones. As we begin to explore the struggle for inner peace, it is important to understand one of the core reasons why this battle can feel so intense for many chosen ones. The experience of life itself often feels different for them. Situations that others may barely notice can have a powerful emotional or spiritual impact. Environments that appear normal to most people may feel overwhelming or draining to someone who is deeply sensitive to the energy around them. Chosen ones often experience emotions, energy, and environments more intensely than others. This heightened sensitivity can show itself in many ways. Some people notice it from a young age without fully understanding why they feel different. They may walk into a room and instantly sense that something is wrong, even if no one has spoken a word. They may feel tension between people before a disagreement becomes visible. They may detect sadness, frustration, or resentment in the atmosphere long before others recognize it. While many people rely only on what they can see or hear, chosen ones often rely on something deeper. Their awareness extends beyond obvious signals. They become attuned to emotional currents and subtle shifts in the environment. This sensitivity can feel like both a gift and a burden. On one hand, it allows them to understand people and situations with greater depth. They may naturally recognize when someone is struggling emotionally, or when a conversation carries hidden meaning. They may sense when a person's words do not match their true feelings. This awareness can make them compassionate listeners and thoughtful observers of the world around them. However, the same sensitivity that allows them to understand others can also make it difficult to maintain inner peace. They may notice tension in a room before anyone speaks, feel drained by negative environments, or sense when something is spiritually wrong. Imagine walking into a place where people are carrying frustration, anger, or unresolved conflict. Even if those emotions are not openly expressed, they can still influence the atmosphere. For someone who is highly sensitive to emotional energy, that environment may feel heavy or uncomfortable, while others may continue their day without noticing anything unusual. The chosen one may feel the weight of those emotions almost immediately. Their mind may become restless as they try to understand what they are sensing. Their energy may begin to drop without any obvious explanation. Negative environments can have a similar effect. Places filled with constant stress, criticism, or hostility can slowly drain the emotional and spiritual energy of someone who is highly aware of their surroundings. Over time, repeated exposure to these environments can make it difficult to maintain a calm and peaceful state of mind. Chosen ones may also sense when something feels spiritually misaligned. This does not always come with a clear explanation. Sometimes it appears as a quiet inner feeling that something is not right. A conversation may feel dishonest. A situation may carry an uncomfortable tension that cannot easily be explained. While others may dismiss these feelings, chosen ones often find that their instincts are pointing towards something real. This constant awareness can make the search for inner peace more challenging. This sensitivity can make peace difficult because they are constantly absorbing the emotional energy around them. When a person absorbs the emotional energy of their surroundings, it can become difficult to separate their own feelings from the feelings of others. A chosen one may leave a conversation feeling emotionally drained without fully understanding why. They may carry the weight of someone else's frustration or sadness long after the interaction has ended. Over time, this can create a sense of internal conflict. The chosen one may struggle to find moments of calm because their environment is constantly influencing their emotional state. They may try to maintain positivity while surrounded by negativity. They may attempt to stay peaceful while feeling the tension of others around them. For many chosen ones, this experience becomes one of the earliest challenges in their journey toward inner peace. At first, they may not understand why they feel different. They may believe there is something wrong with them because certain situations affect them more deeply than others. They may wonder why crowded or emotionally intense environments leave them feeling exhausted. Without understanding their sensitivity, they may attempt to ignore it or suppress it. But over time, many chosen ones begin to realize that this sensitivity is not a weakness. Instead, it is a form of awareness that requires learning how to manage and protect their energy. Inner peace does not come from eliminating this sensitivity. Instead, it comes from understanding it. When chosen ones begin to recognize how deeply they feel the world around them, they can start taking steps to protect their peace. They learn that not every environment deserves their full emotional presence. They begin to recognize when it is necessary to step away from negativity or create boundaries around their time and energy. This awareness also helps them understand that they are not responsible for carrying the emotional weight of everyone around them. While compassion is important, absorbing every emotion they encounter can quickly lead to exhaustion. Learning to observe without absorbing becomes an important step in the chosen one's journey. This does not mean becoming cold or disconnected from others. Instead, it means maintaining emotional awareness while protecting the stability of one's inner world. It means recognizing when empathy is helpful and when distance is necessary for preserving peace. As chosen ones continue to grow, they often begin to develop practices that help restore their energy. Quiet reflection, prayer, meditation, or spending time in calm environments can help rebalance their emotional state. These moments allow them to reconnect with themselves and with their faith, creating a sense of stability that the outside world cannot easily disturb. Eventually, what once felt like a constant burden begins to transform into a form of strength. The same sensitivity that once made inner peace difficult begins to help chosen ones navigate life with greater wisdom. They become more aware of which environments support their growth and which ones drain their energy. They learn to recognize when situations are emotionally healthy and when it is time to step away. This awareness also strengthens their intuition. Because they have spent so much time observing emotional and spiritual signals, they become skilled at recognizing patterns and understanding the deeper meaning behind certain experiences. For chosen ones, the journey toward inner peace often begins with understanding their unique sensitivity to the world. What once felt like a weakness gradually reveals itself as a form of awareness that, when properly managed, becomes a powerful guide. Instead of allowing the emotions of the world to overwhelm them, they begin learning how to move through those emotions with balance and clarity. And through that process, the battle for inner peace slowly begins to transform into a deeper understanding of themselves and the world they are meant to navigate. As we explored in the previous section, many chosen ones experience the world with a heightened level of emotional and spiritual awareness. They sense tension more easily, absorb the energy of their environment, and often feel the emotional atmosphere around them more deeply than others. This sensitivity can make the search for inner peace more complex, because they are constantly navigating both their own feelings and the emotional currents around them. However, the challenge of inner peace does not end with emotional sensitivity. As chosen ones continue to grow spiritually, another struggle often begins to appear. That struggle emerges when their inner transformation begins to move faster than the world around them. As chosen ones grow spiritually, they often begin to see life differently. Spiritual growth has a way of changing how a person views the world. Ideas that once seemed important may lose their significance. Priorities begin to shift, and the way a person interprets success, relationships, and purpose may evolve. The chosen one may begin to question things they once accepted without hesitation. They may seek deeper meaning in their actions and become more aware of how their decisions align with their values. Over time, their perspective becomes less focused on superficial approval and more focused on authenticity and purpose. Activities that once felt exciting may begin to feel empty. Conversations that once felt engaging may begin to feel shallow. The chosen one may start searching for deeper connections, more meaningful discussions, and environments that support personal and spiritual growth. This transformation can be powerful, but it can also create tension when the world around them does not change at the same pace. But the world around them may still expect them to behave the same way they always have. Friends, family members, co-workers, and social circles often become accustomed to a particular version of who you are. They form expectations based on the patterns they have seen in the past. When someone begins to change internally, those expectations may not immediately adjust. The chosen one may start setting boundaries where they once remained silent. They may choose quiet reflection instead of constant social activity. They may avoid environments that once felt normal, but now feel draining or unproductive. These changes are natural results of personal growth, yet they can confuse the people around them. Others may not understand why the chosen one no longer participates in certain conversations or behaviors. They may question why the person seems more reserved or more selective with their time. Some may even interpret this transformation as distance, rejection, or arrogance, even though the chosen one is simply trying to remain aligned with their evolving values. This creates a difficult position. On one side, the chosen one feels the internal pull toward growth and authenticity. On the other side, the external world continues to encourage the familiar patterns of the past. This creates a conflict between staying true to their inner transformation and meeting the expectations of others. The pressure to meet external expectations can be subtle but powerful. Many people naturally want to maintain harmony within their relationships. They may feel tempted to return to old habits simply to avoid conflict or misunderstanding. It can seem easier to behave the way others expect, rather than explaining the internal changes that have taken place. For chosen ones, this pressure can become one of the greatest obstacles in their search for inner peace. When a person constantly tries to satisfy the expectations of others while ignoring their own inner guidance, tension begins to build within them. They may feel as though they are living two different lives. One life reflects who they are becoming, while the other reflects who others expect them to remain. Over time, this internal conflict can disturb their peace more than any external situation. They may begin to feel restless or disconnected from themselves. The voice of their inner purpose may grow quieter as they continue to prioritize the comfort of others over the truth of their own journey. Many chosen ones eventually realize that maintaining inner peace requires courage. It requires the willingness to accept that not everyone will understand their transformation. Growth often involves stepping away from expectations that no longer align with who you are becoming. This realization does not always happen immediately. At first, many chosen ones attempt to balance both sides of the conflict. They try to honor their inner growth while still meeting the expectations of their environment. But as their spiritual awareness deepens, the gap between these two paths becomes more difficult to ignore. Eventually, they must make a decision. They must decide whether they will continue shaping their life around the expectations of others, or whether they will follow the direction of their own transformation. Choosing the path of inner alignment can feel uncomfortable at first. It may lead to misunderstandings or changes within relationships. Some people may distance themselves because they cannot relate to the chosen one's evolving perspective. Others may attempt to pull them back toward familiar patterns. But for many chosen ones, the alternative is even more difficult. Ignoring their inner growth would mean denying the truth they have discovered about themselves and their purpose. Over time, those who remain committed to their transformation begin to experience a deeper sense of peace. The conflict between their inner voice and external expectations gradually fades as they learn to trust their spiritual direction. They begin to realize that not every expectation placed upon them needs to be fulfilled. Not every opinion from others needs to be accepted as truth. The path they are walking is unique, and it may require choices that others cannot fully understand. As this confidence develops, the chosen one becomes more comfortable living authentically. Instead of constantly adjusting themselves to fit the expectations of others, they begin to shape their environment around their values and purpose. This shift does not eliminate challenges, but it brings clarity. The chosen one no longer feels torn between two different identities. Their actions begin to reflect their beliefs, and their life gradually becomes more aligned with the direction they feel called to follow. In this way, the battle between inner growth and external pressure becomes an important step in the journey toward inner peace. It teaches chosen ones how to stand firmly in their truth, even when the world around them expects something different. Through this process, they learn that true peace is not found by satisfying every external expectation. Instead, it is found by remaining faithful to the transformation happening within them. As we discussed in the previous section, one of the greatest struggles for many chosen ones is the tension between their inner transformation and the expectations of the world around them. As they grow spiritually, their perspective changes, and the way they approach life begins to shift. This transformation can create friction within relationships and environments that once felt familiar. Over time, that friction often leads to something many chosen ones experience at some point on their journey: distance from the people who once surrounded them. This distance does not always happen suddenly. Sometimes it unfolds slowly as conversations become less meaningful, shared interests begin to fade, and emotional connections gradually weaken. The chosen one may begin to feel as though they are walking in a different direction from the people who once walked beside them. And it is during this stage that many chosen ones enter a period of isolation. Many chosen ones go through long periods of isolation. Isolation does not necessarily mean complete physical solitude. Instead, it often means a sense of emotional or spiritual separation from the environments and relationships that once provided a sense of belonging. A chosen one may still be surrounded by people, yet feel as though very few truly understand the path they are walking. This stage can appear during times of personal transformation. As the chosen one's mindset evolves, the things they once connected with may no longer hold the same meaning. Conversations that once felt engaging may begin to feel shallow. Social environments that once felt comfortable may begin to feel overwhelming or misaligned. Friends may disappear, relationships may end, and their path may begin to feel lonely. Sometimes this happens because others do not understand the changes taking place within the chosen one. When a person begins to shift their priorities toward growth, self-awareness, or spiritual reflection, those changes can alter the dynamic of existing relationships. Some individuals may drift away because they no longer share the same interests. Others may feel uncomfortable with the transformation and create distance without fully explaining why. In some cases, the chosen one may be the one who chooses distance. They may realize that certain environments or relationships no longer support their peace or their purpose. Stepping away from those situations can be necessary for protecting their emotional and spiritual well-being, even though the decision can feel difficult. Regardless of how the separation occurs, the result is often the same. The chosen one finds themselves standing in a quieter space than before. At first, this isolation can disturb their peace. Human beings naturally seek connection and understanding. When those connections fade or disappear, it can create a deep sense of uncertainty. The chosen one may begin to question whether they have done something wrong. They may wonder why their journey suddenly feels more solitary than it once did. The silence that follows separation can feel uncomfortable. Without the familiar voices and routines that once filled their daily life, the chosen one may face long periods of reflection. Thoughts that were once drowned out by conversation or activity may suddenly become louder. During this stage, it is common for chosen ones to experience emotional confusion. They may feel torn between missing the relationships that once existed and recognizing that those relationships no longer align with their growth. The contrast between the past and the present can create a sense of instability. However, while isolation may initially disturb their peace, it often serves a deeper purpose. Eventually, it becomes the space where inner peace is built. Solitude has a unique ability to reveal things that constant activity can hide. When distractions are removed, the chosen one begins to confront their thoughts, their fears, and their desires more clearly. What once felt like emptiness slowly becomes an opportunity for self-discovery. During periods of isolation, chosen ones often begin to reconnect with themselves in ways they never had before. They begin to understand what truly matters to them without the influence of external expectations. The quiet space around them allows their inner voice to become clearer. Instead of constantly adapting to the opinions and emotions of others, they begin to listen to their own intuition. They start asking deeper questions about their purpose, their beliefs, and the direction of their life. These reflections gradually lead them toward greater self-awareness. Isolation also creates an environment where spiritual connection can deepen. Without the noise of constant social interaction, many chosen ones turn their attention toward prayer, meditation, or quiet contemplation. These practices allow them to reconnect with God and with the deeper meaning behind their journey. Through this process, the same solitude that once felt uncomfortable begins to feel restorative. The chosen one starts to recognize the value of quiet moments and reflective time. Instead of fearing solitude, they begin to appreciate the clarity it brings. Another transformation also begins to take place during this stage. The chosen one gradually learns that peace does not need to depend on the presence of others. While relationships can enrich life, true stability must come from within. By learning how to remain calm and grounded in solitude, the chosen one builds a form of inner strength that cannot easily be shaken by external changes. They become less dependent on validation, approval, or constant companionship. Their sense of peace becomes rooted in self-awareness and faith, rather than external circumstances. Over time, the loneliness that once felt overwhelming begins to fade. In its place, a deeper sense of calm emerges. The chosen one begins to recognize that this season of isolation was not meant to punish them, but to prepare them. The quiet space gave them time to understand themselves. It gave them time to heal from past influences and to rediscover their spiritual direction. It allowed them to build the foundation of inner peace that would support them in the next stages of their journey. Many chosen ones later look back on these periods of isolation with gratitude. Although they were difficult at the time, they often become the moments when the greatest growth occurred. Through solitude, the chosen one learns that peace is not something that must constantly be protected from the outside world. Instead, it becomes something that grows stronger within them. And once that inner peace is built, it becomes far more resilient than the fragile calm that once depended on the presence of others. As we explored in the previous section, many chosen ones pass through long seasons of isolation. During those periods, relationships may fade, familiar environments may change, and life may become quieter than it once was. At first, that silence can feel uncomfortable and even unsettling. Yet over time, solitude often becomes the space where deeper self-understanding and spiritual clarity begin to develop. However, while isolation can create the conditions for growth, it also introduces another challenge that many chosen ones must learn to face. When the external noise of the world begins to fade, the internal voice of the mind becomes much louder. Without constant distractions, thoughts that were once hidden beneath busy routines begin to surface. Questions about the past, the present, and the future may begin to circle through the mind. Doubts may appear, old memories may return. Unanswered questions about purpose and direction may demand attention. For many chosen ones, this is the moment when the next stage of their struggle begins. The fight for inner peace often happens inside the mind. From the outside, a person may appear calm and composed. They may continue their daily responsibilities and interactions without showing signs of conflict. But internally, their mind may be navigating a storm of thoughts and emotions. The battle for peace is rarely fought in public. Instead, it takes place quietly within the mind, where questions, fears, and hopes collide. Chosen ones may experience cycles of doubt, overthinking, and questioning their path. Doubt is one of the most common challenges during spiritual growth. When a person begins to follow a path that feels meaningful but uncertain, it is natural for questions to arise. The chosen one may wonder if they are truly moving in the right direction. They may question whether their experiences have deeper meaning or whether they are simply interpreting events through emotion. Overthinking can intensify this struggle. A single situation may replay in the mind repeatedly as the chosen one tries to analyze every possible interpretation. Words spoken during a conversation may be examined again and again. Decisions may be reconsidered long after they have already been made. This constant mental activity can make it difficult to maintain inner peace. Even when external circumstances are calm, the mind itself may remain restless. One reason this happens is because chosen ones often carry a strong sense of responsibility toward their purpose. They want to make decisions that align with their values and spiritual beliefs. They want to ensure that their actions contribute to something meaningful. This desire for alignment can cause them to examine their choices very carefully. While reflection can be healthy, it can also become exhausting when the mind refuses to rest. Instead of providing clarity, excessive analysis can create confusion. Instead of strengthening confidence, it can lead to hesitation and self-doubt. During these moments, the chosen one may begin to question the path they are walking. They may ask themselves whether their transformation has created unnecessary distance from others. They may wonder if the sacrifices they have made are truly leading towards something meaningful. These thoughts can feel overwhelming because they often occur during moments when there are few external distractions to silence them. Yet the mind is not only a source of doubt, it is also the place where understanding can develop. Learning to control thoughts and return to faith becomes an important step toward inner calm. One of the most important lessons chosen ones eventually learn is that not every thought deserves their full attention. The human mind produces countless ideas, memories, and fears throughout the day. Some of these thoughts are helpful, while others are simply reflections of temporary emotion or uncertainty. If every thought is treated as absolute truth, the mind can quickly become overwhelmed. Doubt may begin to appear more powerful than faith. Fear may begin to overshadow hope. This is why learning to observe thoughts without becoming trapped by them becomes a crucial skill in the search for inner peace. Chosen ones often begin developing this awareness through spiritual practices, such as prayer, meditation, or quiet reflection. These practices create moments where the mind can slow down and reconnect with a deeper sense of clarity. During these moments, the chosen one begins to recognize that their thoughts are not always permanent. A doubt that appears overwhelming today may disappear tomorrow. A fear that feels real in the moment may later prove to be unfounded. By observing these patterns, they begin to understand that peace does not require the complete absence of troubling thoughts. Instead, peace develops when a person learns how to respond to those thoughts with balance and faith. Faith becomes an anchor during mental storms. When doubts appear, faith reminds the chosen one that their journey has meaning, even when the destination is not fully visible. When fear arises, faith provides reassurance that growth often requires stepping into uncertainty. Through repeated experiences, chosen ones gradually strengthen this inner discipline. They learn how to pause when their mind begins racing with worry. They learn how to redirect their attention toward what truly matters, instead of becoming trapped in endless analysis. This does not mean the battle inside the mind disappears completely. Even the most spiritually aware individuals continue to face moments of uncertainty and reflection. However, with time and practice, the chosen one becomes better equipped to navigate those moments without losing their sense of balance. The mind gradually transforms from a battlefield into a place of understanding. Instead of constantly fighting their thoughts, the chosen one begins to observe them with greater awareness. They become less reactive and more reflective. Doubt may still appear, but it no longer dominates their perspective. Questions may still arise, but they are approached with curiosity rather than fear. Through this process, inner peace begins to take root within the mind itself. What once felt like a chaotic storm of thoughts slowly becomes a space where faith, clarity, and resilience can coexist. For chosen ones, mastering the mind is one of the most important steps in their journey toward lasting peace. By learning how to guide their thoughts instead of being controlled by them, they begin to experience a calm that is not easily shaken by uncertainty. And it is through this quiet mastery of the mind that the deeper foundation of inner peace begins to emerge. In the previous section, we explored how the battle for inner peace often takes place within the mind. Doubt, overthinking, and constant questioning can create a storm of thoughts that makes it difficult to remain calm and centered. Chosen ones gradually learn that inner peace requires developing discipline over their thoughts and strengthening their faith so that mental noise does not dominate their perspective. However, mastering the mind is only one part of the journey. Even when the mind begins to grow calmer, the outside world continues to influence emotional and spiritual balance. The environments a person enters and the people they interact with each day can either support their peace or slowly disturb it. For chosen ones, this realization often leads to another important lesson in their search for inner calm. Not every environment or person supports inner peace. At first, many people assume that peace should be possible in any situation if they simply try hard enough to remain positive. While a strong mindset is important, the truth is that constant exposure to negativity can eventually affect even the most disciplined individuals. Environments filled with tension, criticism, gossip, or hostility create an atmosphere that can slowly erode emotional stability. For chosen ones, who are already highly sensitive to emotional and spiritual energy, these environments can become especially draining. They may enter a place feeling calm and centered, only to leave feeling exhausted or unsettled. Conversations that revolve around negativity can linger in their thoughts long after the interaction has ended. Situations that involve conflict or dishonesty may disturb their sense of balance. Over time, many chosen ones begin to recognize that protecting their peace requires paying close attention to the environments they allow themselves to remain in. The same principle applies to relationships. While many connections can bring encouragement and support, others may gradually drain emotional energy without offering anything positive in return. Some individuals may constantly complain, criticize, or focus on problems without seeking solutions. Others may project their frustrations onto the people around them, creating emotional tension wherever they go. Chosen ones must often learn how to step away from toxic situations, negative conversations, and draining relationships. This lesson can be difficult at first, because stepping away from certain people or environments may create feelings of guilt or misunderstanding. Many chosen ones naturally possess empathy and compassion. They care about the struggles of others and often feel a responsibility to offer support. Because of this, they may initially remain in unhealthy situations longer than they should. However, over time, they begin to realize that constantly absorbing negativity can damage their own well-being. When someone repeatedly exposes themselves to toxic environments, their energy becomes depleted. Their ability to remain calm and focused weakens, and their inner peace becomes more fragile. Learning when to step back becomes an act of self-respect rather than selfishness. This does not mean rejecting people who are facing difficulties or abandoning compassion. Instead, it means recognizing the difference between offering support and becoming overwhelmed by someone else's negativity. Chosen ones eventually learn that they cannot carry every emotional burden they encounter. Protecting their peace sometimes requires limiting how much time they spend in certain environments or conversations. It may involve choosing silence instead of engaging in arguments that lead nowhere. It may involve creating boundaries that prevent others from constantly projecting their frustrations onto them. Boundaries play an essential role in this stage of the journey. A boundary is not a wall that completely separates you from others, but rather a line that protects your emotional and spiritual balance. It defines what you are willing to accept and what you are not willing to carry. For many chosen ones, learning to establish boundaries becomes a turning point. Instead of constantly adapting themselves to maintain harmony, they begin to prioritize their well-being. They start recognizing when an environment supports their peace and when it disrupts it. This awareness also leads them to become more selective with their time and attention. Time is a powerful form of energy, and where you choose to invest it can shape your emotional state. Spending hours in conversations filled with negativity can leave the mind restless and heavy. On the other hand, spending time in calm environments or meaningful discussions can restore clarity and balance. Protecting their energy becomes part of protecting their peace. Energy is not always visible, but its effects can be felt clearly. After interacting with certain people, you may feel inspired, calm, or encouraged. After interacting with others, you may feel drained, frustrated, or emotionally exhausted. These reactions are signals that reveal how different influences affect your inner world. Chosen ones gradually learn to listen to these signals. Instead of ignoring them, they begin using them as guidance. If a situation repeatedly leaves them feeling unsettled, they consider whether it truly belongs in their life. If a conversation constantly pulls them into negativity, they learn to redirect or disengage from it. This process does not happen overnight. At first, many chosen ones struggle with the fear of disappointing others. They may worry about being misunderstood or judged for creating distance. But with time, they begin to understand that protecting their peace allows them to show up in the world with greater clarity and compassion. When their energy is preserved, they can think more clearly, respond more calmly, and pursue their purpose with greater focus. When their energy is constantly drained, even small challenges can begin to feel overwhelming. Over time, the chosen one begins to build an environment that supports their inner stability. They surround themselves with conversations that encourage growth rather than negativity. They seek environments where honesty, respect, and understanding are present. They invest their energy in people who inspire progress rather than conflict. This shift gradually strengthens their inner peace. Instead of constantly defending their calm from outside influences, they create a life where calm becomes the natural atmosphere surrounding them. Through this process, chosen ones come to understand that peace is not only something that exists within the mind, it is also shaped by the environments and relationships that surround them. By protecting their energy, they protect the quiet strength that allows their inner peace to grow and remain stable even when the world around them becomes chaotic. In the previous section, we explored how protecting one's energy becomes essential for chosen ones who are seeking inner peace. Not every environment or relationship supports emotional stability, and learning to step away from negativity is often necessary in order to preserve calm and clarity. Over time, chosen ones begin to recognize which situations nourish their spirit and which ones quietly drain their strength. By creating boundaries and choosing healthier environments, they begin to protect the peace they have worked so hard to build. Yet even when someone learns how to protect their energy, life still brings moments of uncertainty. Situations arise that cannot be avoided. Unexpected challenges appear, plans change, relationships shift, and circumstances unfold in ways that are difficult to control. During these moments, inner peace cannot rely solely on boundaries or external conditions. Something deeper must exist to stabilize the spirit when everything around it feels unstable. This is where faith begins to play a central role in the journey of the chosen one. Faith becomes the quiet strength that remains steady when the world becomes unpredictable. For many chosen ones, faith becomes the foundation that stabilizes their inner world. Faith does not always begin as something dramatic or overwhelming. In many cases, it grows slowly through personal experiences. A person may begin to notice patterns in their life that suggest a deeper purpose guiding them. They may encounter moments of unexpected protection or guidance that seem too meaningful to be coincidence. Over time, these experiences begin to form a quiet trust that something greater is at work behind the scenes. As this trust grows, faith gradually becomes a source of stability. When external circumstances feel chaotic, faith provides a reminder that life is not unfolding randomly. Even difficult experiences may carry lessons or preparation for something ahead. When life becomes chaotic or uncertain, reconnecting with God allows chosen ones to regain clarity and emotional balance. There are moments in every person's life when confusion seems unavoidable. A chosen one may face decisions that feel overwhelming. They may encounter obstacles that disrupt their plans, or relationships that change unexpectedly. In these moments, the mind may begin racing with questions and worries. During such times, reconnecting with God often becomes the source of calm that restores balance. This reconnection can take many forms. Some people turn to prayer, speaking openly about their fears, their hopes, and their uncertainty. Others spend time in quiet reflection, allowing themselves to step away from the noise of the world and listen for guidance within their spirit. Some may read spiritual teachings that remind them of deeper truths they may have temporarily forgotten. These moments of reconnection allow the chosen one to step outside the storm of their thoughts and emotions. Instead of trying to solve everything through analysis or control, they shift their attention toward trust. They remember that they are not navigating life entirely alone. This shift in perspective often brings immediate relief. The problems themselves may not disappear instantly, but the way they are perceived begins to change. Fear begins to loosen its grip. Doubt begins to soften. The chosen one begins to see their situation from a wider perspective. Faith turns chaos into guidance. When faith is present, even the most confusing experiences can begin to reveal meaning. Challenges that once appeared as obstacles may begin to look like opportunities for growth. Delays that once felt frustrating may later prove to be protection from a path that was not meant to unfold. Chosen ones often discover that some of their most important lessons came from moments when life seemed uncertain. Situations that once appeared chaotic later became turning points that redirected them towards something better. Faith does not eliminate struggle, but it transforms how struggle is experienced. Instead of seeing every difficulty as a sign that something is going wrong, the chosen one begins to view challenges as part of a larger journey. They understand that growth often requires patience and resilience. They begin to trust that even the confusing moments carry meaning that may only become clear with time. Another powerful aspect of faith is the sense of reassurance it provides during loneliness. Earlier in this journey, many chosen ones experience seasons of isolation, where relationships change and familiar environments fade away. During those moments, faith becomes a reminder that they are never truly alone. The presence of God becomes a quiet companion that offers strength even when human support feels distant. This connection creates a deep form of emotional stability. While the world around them may change repeatedly, the chosen one begins to feel anchored by something that does not change. Their sense of identity and purpose becomes rooted in their faith rather than in temporary circumstances. Over time, this faith also strengthens their courage. When someone believes that their life is guided by a higher purpose, they become less afraid of uncertainty. They are more willing to take steps toward growth, even when the outcome is not fully visible. Instead of waiting for perfect clarity before moving forward, they trust that guidance will appear along the way. For many chosen ones, this trust becomes the key that allows them to maintain inner peace, even during difficult seasons. While the world may still present challenges, their spirit remains grounded in something deeper than the chaos surrounding them. Looking back on their journey, many chosen ones eventually recognize that faith was the thread connecting all of their experiences. During moments of confusion, it provided direction. During moments of fear, it offered reassurance. During moments of isolation, it reminded them that their path had meaning. Through this process, faith becomes more than a belief. It becomes a source of strength that shapes how they see the world and how they respond to life's challenges. In this way, faith truly becomes the anchor in the storm. It holds the chosen one steady when the waves of uncertainty rise around them. It reminds them that even when life appears chaotic, there is still a guiding presence capable of turning confusion into clarity and struggle into purpose. As we have seen throughout the previous sections, the journey toward inner peace for many chosen ones is rarely simple. Sensitivity to the emotional energy of the world can make life feel intense. The tension between inner growth and external expectations can create constant pressure. Periods of isolation can test emotional strength, while the mind itself can become a battlefield filled with doubt and overthinking. Even the process of protecting one's energy requires courage and discipline. Through all of these experiences, faith often becomes the anchor that stabilizes the spirit during moments of uncertainty. When all of these elements come together, one important truth begins to emerge. Inner peace is not the absence of challenges. Many people imagine peace as a state where problems no longer exist. They picture a life where everything feels calm, predictable, and free from conflict. While this idea may sound appealing, it rarely reflects the reality of a meaningful life. Challenges are a natural part of growth, and every person will encounter moments of difficulty, confusion, and emotional tension. For chosen ones, the presence of these challenges often becomes even more visible because their path requires awareness and transformation. They may face internal battles that others do not see. They may question themselves, wrestle with uncertainty, and confront emotional struggles that demand patience and resilience. But these battles do not mean that peace is impossible. Instead, they are part of the process that shapes a deeper and more enduring form of peace. For chosen ones, peace is something earned through struggle, reflection, and spiritual growth. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to strengthen the spirit. Each moment of doubt encourages deeper faith. Each period of solitude invites self-discovery. Over time, these experiences begin to build something powerful within the chosen one. They begin to understand themselves more clearly. They learn how to respond to emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. They recognize the difference between temporary frustration and lasting truth. Through reflection, they gain wisdom about their past experiences. Situations that once caused confusion begin to make sense when viewed from a wider perspective. The chosen one may realize that certain obstacles pushed them toward growth they might never have pursued on their own. Spiritual growth also plays a central role in this transformation. As chosen ones deepen their connection with God, they begin to see life through a lens of trust rather than fear. Instead of viewing every challenge as a threat to their peace, they begin to see it as part of a larger process, guiding them toward maturity and strength. Over time, something remarkable begins to happen. The struggles that once felt overwhelming begin to lose their power. After facing doubt, loneliness, and conflict, chosen ones begin to develop a calm strength that cannot easily be shaken. This strength does not come from avoiding difficulty. It comes from learning how to move through difficulty without losing one's sense of balance. When a chosen one has already faced seasons of isolation, they are no longer afraid of solitude. When they have confronted doubts and fears, they become less intimidated by uncertainty. When they have learned how to protect their energy, they become more confident in maintaining their peace. What once disturbed them deeply may no longer have the same effect. Situations that once created emotional storms may now appear as temporary challenges rather than permanent threats. The chosen one begins to carry a quiet confidence that comes from experience. This calm strength often surprises the people around them. Others may remember the earlier stages of their journey, when uncertainty and emotional struggle were more visible. But after walking through those difficult seasons, the chosen one begins to respond to life with greater patience and clarity. Instead of reacting quickly to every disturbance, they pause and reflect. Instead of allowing negative environments to dictate their emotions, they maintain their inner balance. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by uncertainty, they trust that each experience carries meaning. This transformation is not the result of a single moment of enlightenment. It develops gradually through repeated experiences. Each challenge leaves behind a lesson. Each lesson strengthens the chosen one's ability to remain steady. Over time, peace begins to feel less fragile and more permanent. The chosen one realizes that peace does not depend on perfect circumstances. The world may still contain conflict, uncertainty, and emotional complexity, but their inner world becomes strong enough to remain stable even when the outside world shifts. This is why true peace often appears after the battle. Without the struggle, the chosen one might never have discovered their resilience. Without the questions, they might never have strengthened their faith. Without the seasons of loneliness, they might never have learned how to stand confidently within themselves. Looking back, many chosen ones eventually see that the battles they once feared were actually shaping them into the person they were meant to become. The challenges were not obstacles blocking their path, but experiences preparing them for it. Through doubt, they developed clarity. Through isolation, they discovered strength. Through conflict, they learned balance. Through faith, they found stability. And in the end, the peace they achieve is far stronger than the calm they once wished for. It is not a fragile peace that disappears when life becomes difficult. It is a steady and resilient calm that remains even when challenges arise. This is the peace that comes after the battle, the kind of peace that cannot easily be shaken because it has been built through experience, wisdom, and unwavering faith. If you have been struggling to find peace within yourself, remember that this battle does not mean you are weak. In many cases, it means you are growing. Growth rarely happens in comfortable or predictable ways. Instead, it often unfolds through moments that challenge your understanding of yourself and the world around you. When your mind feels restless or your heart feels heavy, it can be easy to assume that something is wrong. But for many people walking a deeper spiritual path, these moments are often signs that transformation is taking place. The path of the chosen one is rarely simple. It often involves challenges that shape your mind, your faith, and your character. Throughout this journey, you may encounter situations that test your patience and push you to reflect more deeply than you ever have before. Doubt may appear when you are uncertain about the future. Loneliness may arise when the people around you cannot fully understand your experiences. Emotional conflicts may surface when your inner growth begins to separate you from environments that once felt familiar. Yet these experiences are not meaningless obstacles. Each challenge carries an opportunity to develop strength and understanding. Through reflection, you begin to recognize patterns that once seemed confusing. Through faith, you learn how to trust that your journey has purpose, even when the path ahead is unclear. Through perseverance, you discover that the strength you were searching for has been quietly developing within you all along. But through those challenges, a deeper and stronger form of peace begins to develop. This peace is different from the calm you may have imagined earlier in life. It is not the fragile quiet that disappears whenever difficulties arise. Instead, it is a steady sense of balance that remains even when the world around you becomes uncertain. It grows from experience and from the wisdom gained through overcoming moments that once felt overwhelming. One that is not easily broken by the noise of the world. As you continue forward, you may begin to notice that situations that once disturbed you no longer carry the same power. The opinions of others may lose their ability to shake your confidence. The chaos of the outside world may still exist, but it no longer controls the state of your inner world. This quiet strength becomes part of who you are. Your journey toward inner peace is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It may simply be a sign that you are evolving into the person you were meant to become. The questions you ask, the challenges you face, and the moments of reflection you experience are all shaping the person you are becoming. They are guiding you toward a deeper understanding of your purpose and your place in the world. With time, you may come to realize that the battle for inner peace was never meant to defeat you. Instead, it was meant to reveal the strength and clarity that already existed within you. Through every step of this journey, you are learning how to build a peace that does not depend on perfect circumstances, but on the resilience of your spirit and the depth of your faith. If this message spoke to you, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who may need this encouragement, and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring content about the journey of the chosen ones.